And at the time, it was like, what have I done to deserve this? I did deserve it. I deserved it. I deserved that shift so that I could be a better person. It was the blessing of the universe. It truly was. But at the time, it seems really hard, and I understand that. And I've cried buckets over the universe's lessons that's given me. I think we're given glimpses all of the time, but as you say, we don't recognize what they are. We're aware of them, like, what was that? What was that? That was strange, wasn't it? But we're given them all the time. I think, it's that the breadcrumbs that were thrown, to help us to wake and to become aware or whatever. By the way, the word when you're talking about two things coming together, I remember I was sitting thinking, right, I believe in conspiracies, but I'm very spiritual. And so I think I'll have to call myself a conspiritualist, you know, and I believe in, I'm very conspiritual. So I tell people that, but then I think somebody else had invented it as well. But I had it was my own thought, but I thought it was a nice little word, conspiritual.
Very nice.
Yeah,
But it's also part of the internal growth. So again, this isn't external. Yes, I do YouTube channel. Yes, I show people my journey. All I express is my experience. You know, am I right? No. Am I wrong? No. It just is my experience.
sure.
And it's the only thing I can express is my own personal experience. And if it resonates and if it's helpful for anybody, brilliant. And if it isn't, it doesn't matter either. It's
Mhm.
absolutely fine. And that journey has to be internal. This has got to connect to this. I say got to, but for me, my language is not the best. But for me, it had to connect. I had to sink it in and experience the feelings and the growth spiritually from me. Nobody could do it for me. Does that make sense? I'm
Sure,
not explaining myself very well, but
sure, sure. I understand.
because you did
Yeah.
ayahuasca, didn't you? For you, that step that you needed was, or the slap round the side of the face that you needed, that we all get, everybody, we do in different ways and forms. The mother came to you, showed you something, you then did the ayahuasca, and from that point onwards, changed everything for you, didn't it?
Completely and utterly, yeah, completely and utterly. And the more that I experience that, the ayahuasca experience, the more I realize how linked that is to everything that you're talking about, to this whole experience of you're going to get a message. You're going to get it wherever you go. Doesn't matter what door you choose to open, you're going to get the same message, and it'll come, either through that or through something else or through an experience or through a terrible experience. You're going to get the message. And if you don't listen, you'll get it again, and you'll get it again, and you'll get it again. And the ironic thing is you've written that into your plan anyway. Lots of people bemoan it, like, oh man, that was a horrible experience. Like, well, you wrote it into your plan.
Yeah. But often, don't you find, Gordon, some of the most tragic experiences, some of the most difficult experiences, some of the most horrible or horrific experiences we have are actually the things that we needed
Oh,
to
wow.
knock us out of our comatose state, our sleep state, our regular, you know, our normal. I'm very much a person of, I like my little routines. I
Sure.
like you know what I mean? It's like, I like set patterns, routines. I'm very, very boring in that respect. And every now and again, you need something to come along to push you off that little routine. And you think, hang on a minute, what's going on? I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that feeling. What's going on? And then it makes you look at yourself again and think,
Yeah.
actually, that routine wasn't healthy for me
Yeah.
and I needed to change it.
I agree entirely. When I look back across my life, every bad thing was the best thing that happened to me. The good things, I think, are just to give you a little bit of a break, just to, so you have a breather. And then come on, until you get yourself lined up to being true to yourself. I think once you find I'm true to myself, things ease off a bit, I think. But until then, I mean, the front end of my life, the universe just went, Gordon, your life is shit. I'm going to do the etch-a-sketch ending of your life. I'm going to shake the picture up. Now draw it again. And I take everything off you. And at the time, it was like, what have I done to deserve this? I, I did deserve it. I deserved it. I deserved that shift so that I could be a better person. It was the blessing of the universe. It truly was. But at the time, it seems really hard, and I understand that. And I've cried buckets over the universe's lessons that's given me. But bloody hell, without that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Something that I'm very much aware of as well currently, Gordon. And before the show, Gordon and I were just having a general chat about um, what's kind of going on, and the month of July being quite a big month in yeah in so many different ways that we can't even comprehend ourselves. Actually, we're it's like we've got this tiny little candle and we're illuminating something, but actually the room is so big that we can't see the corners or the roof or anything, but we do have a candle. So we're all right. We've got some light, but we really haven't got no clue of where can't comprehend it. Now, we have been very, very lucky that we were given time to experience these experiences and come to terms with them and then have the next experience. I think what we're about to see, and I feel very, very sorry is the wrong word because I'm not sorry that they're going to feel this, but
Compassionate.
yeah, compassionate about the fact that I think there's going to be a huge proportion of the population that are suddenly going to get their comfort blanket ripped off them and they're going to see something that they don't have. They've kind of got, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. Well, they've got no choice now. The curtain's being pulled back. The comfort blanket's going to get ripped off them, and they're going to have to deal with this in a very tricky period of time, in a relatively short period of time. I'm very aware of this is going to be. And what advice would you have for them, Gordon, from your experience of this event happening? Because I think it is going to happen.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was reminded of it was maybe 1 year into the pandemic, and the emissary said, I think that we need to get ready for the great healing. And that's with the great healing, they said, yeah, we've got the great awakening. After the great awakening, we need the great healing because of the trauma that the great awakening is going to cause. So my advice, I think, you use this expression, observe, don't absorb. Yeah.
Yes.
That that's a very, you can say it really quickly, but live it takes a while. Living that takes a while. And so truly it's like I think that all that people need to do is this. Keep on every day you get up and take one step away from what it is that you're seeing. Take one step away emotionally from it. Say, it's like this is happening, but it doesn't mean anything about you. This is happening, and because you're watching it, doesn't mean that you're bad because you're not doing anything about it. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. This is happening because this happens. This is supposed to happen. And so, it was a message that I was given really clearly just this week. And they've said it ever since the beginning. The emissary said, we're here to witness this. We came here to witness this, to be God's witnesses here. They said that doesn't mean that you're going to be inactive. You're just going to stand there going, "Oh, that's terrible. Look at that. Look at the state of that. Yeah, look at his leotard." It's not that. It's you're witnessing it and getting on with your own shit, sorting your own shit out, sorting your own life out, getting yourself true to yourself, being true to yourself, following your bliss, following your dream, all of that. and observing what's happening. Some people's dream and purpose is to go and fix stuff, to go and cause a ruckus and make a statement and speak out. But not everybody. And so you've got to be, if that's your purpose, you'll feel drawn to it. If it's not, what are you drawn to? Do that. And it's always an act of creation. Whatever it is, we are creators, we're here to create. And so you've got to be creating what it is that's going to make you feel blissful. And observe, it's a hard time, Gary. These are awful, shit, horrible times. I know that because that's how I feel sometimes when I watch stuff and I think, oh, for God's sake. And I hear people saying, I just can't take this anymore. I understand it. I understand it. We've got to withdraw a little bit and focus on ourselves. It sounds selfish, but it isn't, because when we create, we're fixing it. When we are in our bliss, we're fixing it. Yeah. If we're miserable and angry and frustrated and attacking one another, we're only making it worse.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I was given a message probably about a month ago now. Um, Sat in a small circle with some friends, and this friend of mine was conveying messages. And one of the message was, why are you still watching some of the stuff you are, Gary? It doesn't serve any purpose. And at the time I was thinking, yeah, I know, but I run a channel and I really need to be looking at this stuff because I need to be relevant. I need to kind of have an idea what's going on. This last 2 weeks, I have looked at less and less, and it's dropped away. And there's channels that I would have been watching, on Telegram,
Mhm.
reading them, and like I'm 1,000 messages or 500 messages behind at the moment, and I've just got no interest in looking at them. And if I've got no interest in looking at them, that means for me personally that something is changing, and I don't want to be or should not be looking at them because they serve no purpose. There's something changing. They serve no purpose. I don't need to be looking at it. Let it go. Sit there and allow what needs to come in, come in. Okay. So the up channeling that we just did, that's divine guidance. That's divine timing. Gordon isn't aware of this. I'm not aware of this. But if we actually step back and observe it, every single show we've done together has been an important thing that we needed to do or say, or piece of information had to come out because that was the divine timing of that to go out into the collective consciousness as a thought process of, oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
And it's very interesting that the message I was given at the end that I can't remember anymore was
Never
was
written down.
given because it's obviously timing wise that needed to come out. Last year, if we'd done that, it would have been wasted. It would have been lost in the ether. It
Sure.
came out today or in this period because there is a meaning to it. There's an importance to that message coming out to,
I
you know,
agree. I agree. I agree, Gary. Yeah. And I think we're in very difficult times. In the Bible, there's a scripture that difficult times hard to deal with. But know this in the last days, difficult times are hard to deal with. Well, you couldn't get any clearer than that, could you? And that's kind of where we are. And I feel for all of the people. You mentioned, we've had time to assimilate. I've had 20 years to assimilate this, and it's still horrific for me. So God only knows what it's like for somebody who's just, I beg your pardon, the what? The reptile what? You know,
yeah,
you can just imagine, and it's such a paradigm shift that I think people need to have. I see us, Gary, you and I, and all of the people who do this, we're like little spiritual cheerleaders. We're just, we're there without pom-poms going, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right, and there are times when I want to stay relevant. I want to, but the stuff I do isn't necessarily, it's messages from the emissaries, typically. But I like to throw a bit of relevance into it. But I'm aware that even without touching anything that's going on, there's so much to say because the message is a message of hope of it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Just keep going. And when I was in network marketing, and another big mistake I made in my life, thank God I learned from that. One of the expressions was just keep doing what you're doing. Right. And I've taken a lot. I mean, I learned a lot. It's like these bad experiences, you still learn a lot from them. Just keep doing what you're doing. And it sounds cliche and it sounds like, oh yeah, but it's like trust the plan. That and lots of people get very angry when people say trust the plan. Yeah. The emissary said trust the plan, but they're not talking about Q.
No.
They're talking about the plan. So it's kind of that's the message is it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. Just, take a breather, have a Coke and a smile, cheer up a bit. You know.
Yeah. And the plan is actually inside you, everybody. The plan isn't out there. The plan isn't written down anywhere. Certainly not written down anywhere. The plan is here. It's in you, and you are part of the plan. We just don't have an idea of the plan, and we shouldn't either. And I know one of our human constraints is, "Oh, I wonder what's going on. I wonder if we can look. We'll use divination tools to try and look. Your channel, and it's like, oh, the Great Awakening, and then we've got the Great Healing. Well, actually, 5, 6 years ago, we're still at the Great Awakening stage,
I know.
and we're now about to really, and then we're going to have that period afterwards of the Great Healing.
Mm,
You know, so with you've spent 5 or 6 years. I haven't been on YouTube that long, but you've spent all this time pushing forward to create some process of understanding. That's only just starting. And that's part of the problem as well, is our concept of time.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When they first came to me and they said we want to give you, we want you to give a message of great hope. I said, okay, but let's not drag it out. And I was thinking maybe a year, couple of years, and that'll be it done, and time's moving on, and there's a point you get to where you go, I think we're in this for the long run. I think this is someone need to just take, get my second win now and move on. But I tell you something, Gary, that I wanted to share, just to follow on in your question about what helps. The thing that helped me the most out of everything, and I know I had a beautiful spiritual awakening with ayahuasca, had a spiritual awakening with a DVD that was put through my door to show me about, waking me up to the world and stuff like that. But when I surrendered myself to the universe, to God, to the plan, I suppose that's probably the best way. And I did it on purpose, out loud, on my own. And I said to the universe, I can't carry this anymore. I surrender myself. I can't take the weight anymore. I'm not good enough to do this on my own. I surrender myself. Show me, guide me, help me to know the plan. And actually, what I remember when I did it, the Lord's Prayer came up, and it was the line of, uh, "Your will here on earth, just as it is in heaven." And it's your plan here on earth, just as it is in heaven. And when I did that, my life completely changed. It was like the biggest relief I've ever had. It was a moment where I went, oh, thank God I don't need to do this on my own anymore. I've got help. And I, since then, and that was 5 years ago, since then, every week without fail, I surrender myself just to make sure that my mind knows exactly where I am. And I believe that to be a very powerful tool to help you to cope. It helps you to cope because you're not alone anymore.
No. And again, hopefully people listening to our conversation will just give them that little bit of confidence to trust in themselves, not external. Not we're not talking anything external whatsoever. It's trusting in yourself, what you're feeling. Sit with it. Is it your feeling? Is it how you feel? What do you think about your feeling and your gut and your heart? And then go with it. And if it's to do nothing, great. And if it's to do something, great. But the other big thing that we have currently is fear.
Mm.
Fear has been programmed into us from birth, and it's something that really does limit us. And as you go through this process, and you really start to go through this process, the fear does begin to dissipate and it drops away. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will. And once you don't fear them in any way, shape, or form, you don't fear the consequences. Very, very difficult. Oh my God, this is so difficult, everyone. It really is. But as once you start on that road, when you start to challenge the fear, everything starts to change.
Yeah, yeah, I agree entirely. It is the only tool that they have. It's the only one, apart from money and power. But even then, money and power that this realm has only been able to offer people. As soon as you have it, you're fearful. You're scared of losing it. Fame, as soon as you become famous, what happens if I'm not famous? What, how, you see, it's just a natural thing that we have. People who, the channel goes viral. They're making great videos. They're having great fun. They get all these videos made. They go viral. And after that, they don't enjoy what they're doing anymore because it's, what if this one's not good enough? What this one's not dynamic enough, you know? And we all go through that. So it's a natural process, but they play on that. They want you to be fearful. If it's not fear of losing everything you've got, it's fear of death. And ultimately, fear of death is the one. And once you've lost that, it's something that when I was younger, when you're younger, it's very scary, you don't think about death, but you don't want to think about death. Like, what? And now, sometimes I think about death and I love life and I'm going to live to 120 at least. But I often think I'll be quite happy when I go. Yeah, I'll be quite happy. I think it'll be really nice. It'll be a little relief. Like, whoa, thank God for that, you know? But it's like if you're not scared of death, what can they do to you? Nothing. If you know that it isn't over when you go off somewhere else, what can they do? Nothing. And then, so what they do is they say, okay, well, we'll tell you we're in charge on the other side as well. Yeah. So when you die, we've still got you like, and you're, oh, for sake, can't I have any peace on the other side as well? But that's what they do all of the time.
Yeah.
You've got it, but we can take it off you. Yeah.
I think the fear of death one is one of the biggest ones because we are connected to source. We're immortal beings. We're having an experience inside this during the daytime when we're awake. When we go back to sleep, we go back to where we were and we don't remember that because it would affect our experience here. But when we're asleep, we're doing all sorts of different things on different planes of existence, different dimensional frequencies, 5D, 10D, 12D, whatever it is you want to, you know, we are completely different in our sleep. We go places, we do amazing things. We're just not allowed to remember that when we're here because it would affect us and we would know that actually what we're living in is some kind of computer game, some kind of reality that's not really real, even though we think it's real and we have the perception of real. So when the body, the meat suit, the avatar, no different, avatar shows us this, when
Yeah.
the avatar passes and fails, you don't pass and fail. You go back to wherever it is in spirit. I watched a guy called Dean, the psychic medium.
Hmm.
Very interesting guy. actually going to go and see him live
All right. Good.
in about 5, 6 weeks. And he does not want to have information. He's not interested in information. He only wants yes, no answers. And the number of times that people come through in his mediumship in the big hall, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, they never believed in this, did they, during life?" And the other person, like the person that's alive still, in the meat suit, in the avatar, is going, "No, they didn't. No, they didn't." He said, "Well," he said, he's saying it's quite a shock that he thought when he died it was all went black because that's what he'd been told, and all of a sudden it's really not, and he's got no aches and pains. He's got all the memories of what he's doing, but they also have memories and understandings of other things. One of the really interesting things is in spirit language, there's no language barriers, there's
Mm,
no
true.
issues with language. And he actually did one just very recently where this lady was Romanian, and he goes, "Oh, I'm being told something in Romanian." And so he got her in spirit to speak very slowly, and he said the words in Romanian to her Romanian daughter that's still here. And it was really, really an amazing experience.
Fantastic.
But the thing was, he only did that because the daughter would have wanted to hear. He doesn't speak Romanian. He's
No.
never spoken Romanian in his life. And there it is. But when this Romanian lady was in spirit, she's communicating in English because he speaks English. And
Sure.
if there'd been a Chinese person doing it, they would have been communicating in Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. When the emissaries talk to me, they talk to me in English, and sometimes they talk to me in Spanish. Depends on the word that they want to give me. But I'm sure they're not English, and then they're certainly not Spanish. I just think that what do you know? We'll give you it through that. It's a knowing, isn't it? It's a knowing and understanding. Mm. Yeah, Gary, I think the longer that I go along in this life, the more I realize that it's so complex. It's so complex, and I think we kind of like your analogy of having a candle. We've got a candle. We're going, look what it is. It's this. It's this. Look, it's this. And somebody else has got a candle over here going, no, it's this. You know, it's like the blind men, the five blind men who are touching an elephant, and they're all touching different parts. Going, oh, this is a tree trunk. No, this is a whip. No, this is a hose. That's what we are. We're just going, what's this?
Yeah, it's perception, isn't it? It's our perception of everything at the moment and the way that our perceptions are controlled. And fundamentally, I think that once our perceptions drop from us and change, and the collective consciousness starts to see things in a more realistic way, use that word realistic. I think we're slightly more realistic than most people, but who knows? I think at that point, the consciousness and the mechanism of the universe, our little bubble here, will change because we are the creators of everything in here.
Yeah.
100 monkey syndrome.
Uh, yeah. I was just hearing about somebody was talking about that just the other day. And I tell you what I saw, and just as a recommendation, if people want to watch it, there's a man called Chase Hughes. I don't know if you know him, and he's kind of like not a mentalist, but he talks about the way when people are lying, how they express themselves and all of that. He's very, very, very clever guy. And he's been doing work with DMT and looking at the laser lights. Have you heard that?
Yes, yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm doing it. I'm getting the laser. I want to try that. I want to see the letters. But he's done this review of the Truman Show, and coming from and what he's trying, I know where he is now. He does not want to be called a conspiracy theorist at all. And he makes it very clear, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. But then he lays it all out, and of course he is. But he just wants to make it clear. But what an overview of that film, because that film's just incredible. That's a documentary.
It is.
And he lays it out, and it's so insightful. So I would recommend that if you find Chase Hughes and the Truman Show thing, definitely worth a watch. Especially people who are in the process of waking up and having to having to see the light fall from the sky, and things
And
like
that
that.
was Sirius, wasn't it? Sirius B or
Serious.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or A. Yeah. And again, the Matrix, the first Matrix film, not the others necessarily, but the
Mm.
first Matrix film is very much a documentary, although not quite, because the reality of them, oh, this is what the Earth actually looks like. I think that's Hollywood changing and inverting it from something that's beautiful to something that's not. But
Yeah.
fundamentally, The Matrix is, and I can remember when I first watched that, I think I actually went to the cinema and watched that because it's an old film, isn't it? And back then we didn't have computers,
Yeah.
and well, I certainly didn't. And I can remember putting my hand at the back of my neck and feeling for the tube.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And I watched that just 2 weeks ago. And I watch it every 6 months just to watch it because it's so fascinating. I know it off by heart, but it's fascinating. Like, and when you look at the writer of it, was a lady who she channeled those.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of stolen from her, and then she had to go through a big court case to get the payment back. But and she wrote other ones. It wasn't just The Matrix, there was some other.
Terminator.
That's it. Yeah.
So the Terminator is the prequel to the Matrix.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely fascinating. And isn't it ironic that the two guys, the two directors of The Matrix, who presented that, and clearly, The Matrix has been used as a point of reference for the Great Awakening. It is a fundamental building block of the Great Awakening. And look, those two guys are now trans. And and this is what I think. That's the price that they had to pay for doing that, for presenting that to the world. Like, oh, right now you're going to have to pay the price. You know? I mean, isn't
Yes.
it bizarre that twins, two brothers, suddenly both decide that they've got to be that? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
That looks a
But then
little bit
again,
forward.
you're conspiritualists, aren't you?
I
So
am a conspiritualist, yes, and I'm very conspiritual. Well, Gary, you know what? We could go on for a long time. I think we've got there's so much to say. But fantastic. I love sitting talking to you, Gary, and just shooting the breeze and I like what you bring. You always bring stuff and it makes my mind go wee. So nice there.
and you do to me as well, Gordon. I must admit, it's I really, really do enjoy chatting to you because you've got different perspectives and the work that you do. And again, everybody, Gordon won't plug himself, but I will. Gordon runs these courses, or not courses, but these treatments. It's not a treatment, is it? It's an experience, whatever you want to call it. But
Mm.
Gordon runs these and he's available to be booked. Check him out. And again, Gordon will be the first person to say he might not be the perfect fit for you. If not, find somebody else who's just as qualified. We're not pushing one
Not
particular
at all.
thing.
I ran a few courses because of the great healing. I ran a few courses. I've helped lots of people to do the same as I've done. So we've got all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. So there's tons, even if I can't because I have a limited amount of time and I don't advertise, Gary advertises me. I don't advertise myself, but I'm always busy. I'm always busy. So I can always find you somebody who would do it. Okay. If you wanted to, even if you wanted to have this experience that Gary's had, I could find people who would, therapists who would do that for you.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So again, in my video, there will be a link below for Gordon's channel, and in Gordon's channel, there will be a link to him and the work he does, and booking or contact details.
And I will put Gary's channel in mine. For whatever reason, I seem to keep forgetting to put Gary's channel. But what's your channel, Gary? Mention it.
Alternative interactions.
If you put that into YouTube, he will pop up on the first page in
Yeah.
alternative
Yeah,
interactions.
it's actually there. I think I've written it down there just so you can see
Yes,
it
yeah, on this
in
side,
the box.
Gary.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it could be
Brilliant,
that
Gary.
side when we get to it.
Exactly. Gary, you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us. And thank you for being, as always, a fantastic client in hypnosis. And that was the deepest I've ever seen you go. So, hey, we're obviously seeing a progression.
Really was a fascinating experience, a surprise as well. And thank you very much for offering this to me. And we're blessed to be able to show everybody who wants to watch this exactly what is available, what the human psyche can do. And, thank you very much, Gordon, for being you. Thank you.
More than welcome. More than welcome. And so we'll leave you now and we'll see you again probably in a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.